Hi and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be putting Callaway's budget golf ball, the Warbird Plus, to the test to see if it's a ball that could be good for your game. In this video I'll be doing my standard test. I'll be doing a 50-yard sand wedge test where I'm looking to see how the ball launches and whether it has enough spin to make it controllable on the greens. I'll then be hitting an 8-iron at my full speed to see if I'm gaining the control and spin and the overall total distance that I require to make this ball useful out on the golf course. I'll then hit my driver at my full speed and I'll be looking to see what sort of ball speeds I'm getting and whether the spin is controllable and obviously what the end result of my drives is. Are they straight and long, or am I losing distance anywhere through this golf ball? Once I've done that, I'm then going to drop the 8-iron back down to more of an average golfer's speed. That's about 75 miles an hour club head speed, and we'll see what results we get from that. Are they different from my speed, or does the ball perform in a very similar manner? We'll also then repeat that for the driver, and for an average golfer you're going to be looking at 90 to 95 miles an hour in club head speed. And again, we'll be looking at the spin numbers that we're getting, and are we getting good ball speed out of this ball? Is it something that is playable out on the golf course? Once we've hit the ball, and before we have a look at some of the data, we'll also cut it open just to make sure what's inside and confirm what we believe to be the case about this budget golf ball from Callaway. But why, I hear you ask, am I even testing something like the Callaway Warbird Distance golf ball? Well, quite simply, recently over the last few weeks, I've tested the Callaway Super Soft, which is the best-selling budget golf ball, and I've also tested the new Amazon Basics golf ball, and quite frankly, I was unimpressed with both of them. So I'm now on a mission to find the best budget golf ball for you. So I'm classing a budget ball as a ball that sits around about or under the £30 or $30 mark. That tends to hit a very sweet spot of each manufacturer's budget golf ball, and obviously goes down from around about that near £30 mark down to the price of the Amazon Basics ball. Now the Callaway Warbird Distance Plus sits really nicely. It's retailing for just under £20 in the UK and about, I think it's $22 in the US. So it really is a budget ball, but is it any good for what you're paying for, and how does it compare to the other balls that we've tested already? Ultimately, my goal here is to test each of the golf balls on merit, and then as we go through this process, gradually create a ranking system that will take into account everything to do with this ball. So we'll be looking at how well it plays and how much it costs, whether I think it's good value for money or not. And then the rankings will come up with our definitive list where I can say to you that out of the range of balls from say £17 for the Amazon ball to about £30 for whatever the most expensive budget ball is, this is the ball that you should probably be choosing that will give you the best value for money and the best performance. Right, well, I'm really keen to get this ball on the launch monitor, hit some shots, so let's go outside. You can see those in action, and I'll be back shortly and we'll look at some data. Right, welcome back. So just before we have a look at some data, let's get one of these golf balls cut open just to confirm the construction. Okay, so there's nothing special about this ball from the construction. It's a standard two-piece model. It's got a big solid core and an ionomer cover, and nothing unexpected for balls in this budget range. So before we go and look at the data, like the video, please hit the subscribe button. YouTube's really starting to take notice of the content that I'm providing, and any interaction that you can provide is greatly appreciated. Leave a comment down below of which ball it is you'd like me to test next in this budget range. Perhaps it's your gamer. And again, hit the like, subscribe, and go crazy for the content that I'm providing. Right, so first let's look at the 50-yard shots. Now, obviously you guys will know that I find these really, really important numbers to be looking at. 50-yard shots are real scoring shots, and we certainly need a golf ball that has some level of performance in launch and spin, else ultimately it's just not worth playing that golf ball, in my opinion. So as we have a look at the data that I've just popped up here somewhere, you'll be able to see that this ball actually performed pretty decently in this test. So there are two main factors that I look for when I'm looking at these 50-yard shots. And the first one is the spin number. Now, this is considered a distance golf ball, but I have to say I was quite impressed with the spin number that was coming out of it. And certainly it was higher than the Callaway Super Soft, and it absolutely trounced the Amazon Basics ball. So from a spin number perspective, this ball is above those other two balls that I've already tested. So the second point of interest I really have when I'm playing these 50-yard shots is what the launch number looks like. Now, routinely with budget golf balls and ionomer covered two-piece balls, we tend to see the ball launching exceptionally high. Now that can have some counteraction with the fact that most of these balls tend to spin low, but it's just not a very good way to create these 50-yard shots. We don't really want them high flighting with little spin. We'd like them to come in a little bit lower with a decent amount of spin to allow them to grab on the green. And interestingly, the Callaway Warbird Plus, as what I would call exceptionally budget golf ball, actually its launch numbers are much, much closer to a premium tour level ball than they are to the other budget balls that we've tested in the Super Soft and the Amazon. Both the Super Soft and the Amazon balls are launching exceptionally high at well around 30 degrees and over, whereas the Callaway Warbird Plus is launching much further down, 27 to 28, and that's only a little bit above where I expect to see my premium tour balls launch from. So the combination of this distance golf ball having a decent spin number that's better than its competitors, obviously not quite tour ball standard but pretty solid, and having a launch that allows you to maintain the control, means that this has been a really good set of the test for the Callaway Warbird Plus. Right, so let's hop over and have a look at the 8-iron at my speed. Now, normally we tend to find again that with the more budget golf balls, we tend to get a very high launch and we tend to get low spin, and that's what creates the distance. And ultimately, in a lot of the testing that I've done, when we're hitting these mid irons, what we don't see is we don't see a huge discrepancy in total carry distance, but what we see a discrepancy in is exactly how the ball gets there. So with the Callaway Super Soft and the Amazon Basics, for example, we see the ball launching exceptionally high with low spin to get to its total distance, whereas with my Callaway Chrome Tour X ball that I play as my gamer, we see the ball launching significantly lower but spinning more. And obviously that's normally the signs that we want from a golf ball, again helping to keep that flight down but also having that stopping power when it hits into the green. Now, interestingly, again, the Callaway Warbird Plus Distance is sitting very nicely in a very comfortable middle ground as far as I'm concerned. It's spinning more than the Super Soft and the Amazon, but it's not launching anywhere near as high as they launch. It's not at the level of my premium golf ball, but it's in this very nice middle ground that actually makes it quite playable. It's getting to approximately that same total distance, but it's getting to it in a way that I would feel comfortable, having seen those numbers, to be able to say this ball performs quite well for what it is. Right, so now let's look at the driver at my speed. So ultimately, if this is a distance plus golf ball, we would expect this golf ball to excel at this point. And to be fair, it hasn't disappointed. You can see my driver speed was just over 107 miles an hour, putting it in line with other tests that I've done, but we can see that the ball speed that this ball retains at 161 miles an hour plus is really, really good, and is very, very equivalent to the premium golf balls that I play. And again, it absolutely trounces the Super Soft and the Amazon Basics, which even with similar club head speeds dropped right down into the 150s ball speed. So ultimately, this ball is, yes, a distance ball, but at my speeds and at a 50-yard shot, this ball is also performing decently well across the board for what it is. Okay, so let's head back to the 8-iron again, but let's look at it now at your average golfer's speed. Now, what we can see is perhaps the ball speed is a little bit lower than I would perhaps like to see from a golf ball, but in general, it's not too bad. And to be fair, any miss strike or bounces on the golf course would probably negate an odd yard or two that you might be losing from distance. Spin numbers, again, even at average golf speed, are quite solid, considering this is being marketed as a distance golf ball. And what I found on some of the testing is that although with some of the Amazon balls especially, but also with the Callaway Super Soft, when we tend to get a variation in spin, it tends to be dropping spin. With this Callaway Warbird Plus, I occasionally got some shots that had a little bit more spin on them. Now, ultimately, that could again make the shot come up a tiny little bit shorter. But to be fair, if you were giving me the option of having a ball where occasionally it might spin a little bit more than I expected, or it would spin a little bit less than I expected, I would always take the more option, because that's going to be so much more controllable, and also it helps to negate the fact of these flyers. And with the Amazon golf ball, some of the shots that I saw that just seemed to go absolutely miles because they came out with such low spin. So from an average golfer's perspective, again, it's a pretty solid result from an 8-iron. The spin was up there at just over 5,200. The ball was still launching quite high at around 19.5, which again, I tend to expect from these two-piece ionomer balls, but it's in a reasonable window. And as you can see, the carry numbers were pretty decent from that amount of club head speed. So looking at the driver speed from an average golfer, and again, we're talking around 90 to 95 miles an hour club head speed. And you can see I'm around about the 94 miles an hour, and that's creating a really, really good ball speed. In fact, when I looked at this against my Callaway Chrome Tour X Gamer, this Warbird Distance is actually producing a tiny little bit more ball speed, and it's absolutely trouncing the Super Soft and the Amazon Basics by around about 4 miles an hour. So ultimately, yes, as a distance ball, it's doing exactly what it says on the tin from the driver. I think what we've seen from the other shots is I'm slightly surprised at how good the overall performance of this golf ball is. With a spin number of just over 2,100, I would consider this ball to be controllable off the driver as well as pretty quick off the face. Now that's a big, massive bonus. Again, when I've looked at some of the other balls in this budget area so far, the Super Soft and especially the Amazon Basics, I had some balls that came out with really, really low spin, which was quite unplayable. This ball maintains its ball speed off the club face, but produces a spin level that I would consider is actually decently controllable and would probably maximize the carry distance that you're going to get without sacrificing accuracy. Right, we've hit a bunch of golf shots, we've cut the ball open, and we've poured over the data. So what is my conclusion about the Callaway Warbird Distance Plus golf ball? And now I've had 3 golf balls through the testing system. How am I ranking these in regards to their position? And so far, which ball I consider to be the best and which ball I consider to be the worst. So first off, let's cover the main detractor, that may affect you purchasing this golf ball. This is not a particularly soft golf ball. So if you're a person that plays a Callaway Super Soft or an Amazon Basics ball, you would likely consider this ball to be firm. It has a compression rating of 90, which isn't too bad. And to be fair, I was expecting this to feel like a rock or a driving range golf ball, and quite frankly, it didn't. And the performance benefits that I saw over Super Soft and Amazon Basics, I would much rather have a ball that felt a tiny little bit firmer, but performed in this manner, than having the soft feel of Super Soft or the Amazon Basics and sacrificing performance. Right, so with the exception of you maybe thinking that it being slightly firmer is a detractor, I'm really struggling to find anything else negative that I can say about this golf ball. For £20 a dozen in the UK, this ball is just really good value. It performs really nicely, and to be honest with you, it actually feels like it performs closer to a premium tour ball than it does to a Callaway Super Soft or Amazon Basics golf ball. And that is saying a lot for a two-piece ionomer ball. Yes, it's not a tour ball, and certainly you're not going to get the performance that you would from that ball. But if you wanted something that was budget and cheap, but had a reasonable level of performance, then this ball is certainly, in my opinion, significantly better than the Amazon Basics or the Callaway Super Soft, if you're looking for a ball that gets as close to being a premium ball, but at an exceptionally budget price. So the big question from this test is, could I play the Callaway Warbird Distance Plus golf ball? Yeah, I could play that ball. Would I play that ball? Now this is interesting, because to be honest with you, yeah, I probably would play this golf ball under the correct circumstances. I think if you got a very, very wet golf course and you were really trying to drop spin, but you didn't want to drop distance, then I think this is a legitimate ball to play. It maintains ball speed on a very similar level to some of the tour balls, and it spins a few hundred revs less across the short shots and the 8-iron shots. So if you were after just reducing a little bit of spin but maintaining ball speed, then yeah, I could probably play this ball. Right, so as you'll have seen, not only did I do a review of this nature on the Amazon Basics golf ball, but I also took it out onto my simulator to play 6 holes. Now, if I can get enough likes on this video, I'll be quite happy to do exactly the same test with the Callaway Warbird Distance Plus. And that could be a really interesting test for us to see how well I could actually game this golf ball over 6 holes of golf. Okay, so let's finish off by producing the first chart of what I think is the rankings for budget golf balls. So as it stands now, we've tested the Callaway Warbird Distance Plus, the Callaway Super Soft, and the Amazon Basics golf ball. And in my opinion, at the moment as we stand, the Callaway Warbird Plus is quite simply in the number 1 slot. The Callaway Super Soft sits in the number 2 slot. And unfortunately, the issues I found around the Amazon Basics ball when I tested it and played 6 holes on the sim with it mean that it currently sits in 3rd place. There's an absolute bundle of budget golf balls to test. So let me know what your gamer budget golf ball is, and the one that gets the most votes will likely be the one that I test next. Well, what an interesting ball test that was. As you've seen from the video, I'm quite impressed with the Callaway Warbird Distance Plus. And to be honest with you, if I'm Callaway, I'm not sure I'm going to be marketing this golf ball as the Distance Plus golf ball. I think this golf ball could well be marketed as a budget performance golf ball. I think the spin numbers, the control and the distance all combine to make this a much better proposition for people to play that isn't just a distance ball that feels like a rock. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and check out this video that I think you'll enjoy. I'm Graham, and I'll catch you on the course soon.